Now 11.15 is the engagement team discussion. It's an agenda document basically giving you an outline of what items to discuss before the audit commences. There is a requirement to go and have a meeting with your team, discuss various matters specifically related to fraud, and this document gives you a few agenda points to go and discuss at this meeting. Now, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. You'll just see, for instance, there's an attendance register, so who has actually attended the meeting, what's the date and time of that meeting so that we can document it for future use. And then we get to information sharing. What items can we discuss? Now, it could be that a lot of these items are maybe not applicable, but that's the point, is it's an agenda, things you should be considering and discussing. So we go in and you will make comments, discuss any action steps that you need to take as a result of what you've discussed, and if necessary, go and put who's responsible for this and what are the due dates, depending on the nature of the question and what you decide at this point. And now for the first time, there's something new that's coming into our RAC documents, and it's now looking for a risk identified. And this is why I say 11 and 12 is our risk identification section. What risks are we picking up based on the discussions that we've had here? Now remember, at this kickoff meeting, you're often discussing what is the entity, what is the general nature of the business and the scope of the engagement, and what issues have we picked up in the previous years. So for now, we now need to go and say, well, look, here is a risk. Document that risk. Obviously, don't type there risk identified 11.15. You actually need to go and describe the risk in detail, because this is what's going to pull through to our risk registers at the end of the day. We are then very quickly, bright yellow appears next to that item, and it's asking me, is this a business or a fraud risk? There is a drop down. You can also just type a B or an F. We need to identify the difference between those two, because we actually treat those risks slightly differently when we get to our risk registers. A fraud risk we automatically assume is going to be significant. Therefore, we have various processes that we run through with it. Business risks, however, we say we still need to go and assess the extent of that risk. So there's an extra step in the process for business risks. So that's why we're asking here, is this a business risk or is this a fraud risk? I'm not going to go through too much of the other items on here. Just to note, it's talking about our audit strategy. There's a place to go and document dates, various pieces of information, assigning responsibilities, for instance, who in the team is responsible for various items, and then it's also giving you a space for a sign-off. Once again, I just want to quickly log in as a partner so that I can show you the partner sign-off. As soon as I click partner sign-off, it goes and puts my initials and the date in at the bottom. And this is one of the documents where we also will pull in the manager sign-off once you've set it as reviewed, just to go and put a little electronic signature in there for you. Just to very quickly go and show the difference between this is what you will see in medium and large, but for small and micro clients there is a slight difference in the layout. Just want to open up here. We are sitting in a small client, and I want you to see that we don't have the sub-points under each of these items sitting in my RAC small. All that you have is the main question points. Here are the 5 main question points that we had from the previous document, or from the same document, but where we have a medium or a large. And this is one of the first areas where you're going to start seeing a difference between what we see in the planning phase between large, medium, small, and micro. So now instead of the detailed questions, we just have the 5 main points. What's important is that I'm hiding various things, but they may be pertinent. So it is important to understand what sort of stuff I should be discussing in terms of the nature of the entity and the scope of the engagement. But a lot of those questions are actually going to end up being not applicable because we're dealing with a small, low-risk client. So we have to try to summarize things a little bit to make the completion of 11.15 a little bit easier. All right, let's go back to my Medium client, and I now want to go and open up 11.20.